And we continue to follow breaking news at this hour out of Boone, where we're learning of 4 people dead, including 2 Watauga County Sheriff's deputies. A 5th person, the suspect, also dead. This all after an hours-long standoff. Thanks for staying with us here for the news at noon. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Carolyn Bruck. This afternoon, we are seeing photos for the first time of the officers killed. Sergeant Chris Ward and K-9 Officer Logan Fox were doing a welfare check on a family when they were killed in this. There are 2 other victims killed. We're told they're somehow related to the suspect. Police say the suspect locked himself inside of that house for hours before taking his own life. His name and the 2 other victims' names related to him, they have not been released just yet.
We want to go live out to WCNC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner and live in Boone. He's been talking to members of the community who say they're understandably just in complete shock. A lot of this information fluid right now, Brandon, coming in the last hour or two. What's the latest?
That's right, Ben and Carolyn. Let's first show you this memorial that has been growing outside the Watauga County Sheriff's Office. We have been seeing people from all over, including family members of the 2 deputies, as well as friends, even people who don't know the deputies, who have been coming out here to pay their respects and pray for this community. As you just said, we had 5 people who were shot. We do know that the suspect, according to the sheriff, killed his mom and stepfather inside the home. Again, we do not know the identities of those individuals. They have not been released just yet. According to the sheriff, the deputies actually knew the suspect and they actually interacted with him as early as this past weekend. The sheriff says that he considers this to be an ambush, that the suspect was waiting for these deputies to arrive when this happened. We also do know of an SBI agent and a Boone police officer that were sent in to try to rescue Deputy Fox, and one of those people, the Boone police officer, was shot in by the suspect, but it only hit his helmet, and the helmet protected the officer from getting shot. The sheriff says the community turnout has been amazing after this tragedy.
They have the compassion for the community and doing the right thing, and they did that. You know, they didn't expect this, but they were doing the right thing.
Tell you more about those deputies, who they were, and the impact to this community starting today at 4 o'clock. Live in Boone, Brandon Goldner, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Brandon, thank you. We'll, of course, be updating this story throughout the afternoon. We expect to learn more information. You can find that new information in the WCNC app. Carolyn.
All right, Ben, let's switch gears and talk weather. Larry Sprinkle standing by for a check of the forecast.
We did make it into the 80s yesterday, to be exact. 84 degrees compared to the average high of 75. Look at the record high today, 91 degrees. The year was 1888. No one even dreamed of an air conditioner back then. They didn't think about it. As we take a look back to 1973, the all-time record low temperature. Today, beautiful day, sunshine mixing with those fair weather clouds out there. Mid-80s around 5 o'clock. You'll be out and about this evening around 7, still in the 80s. Even early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., waking up to about 68 degrees for a low temperature. No rain or storms here. Everything is back to the southern plains, all the way across the mid-south, right into the mid-Atlantic states. Showers in and a few embedded thunderstorms. Not expecting any widespread severe weather today, and that's the good news. Everyone, even from Houston all the way up towards, say, around New York City, in the low-end category of the severe weather threat today. Maybe in the southwestern corner of the state we could see some, but nothing here expected. It's warm. That big area of high pressure sitting off the southeast coast. Everything coming around the southwest, ushering in all those warm temperatures. As far as rain chances, I really think if anybody gets any tomorrow, late tonight, early tomorrow, it could be in the North Carolina mountains. They could get a couple showers out there. What everybody's getting today, just a big warm up for the most part in the 80s, in the mountains, mid-70s up there. It's over towards areas around Sharon, maybe to Rockingham, that they may hit the upper 80s today as we check those overnight low temperatures in the mountains. Once again, as far as the shower chance, it would be in the mountains and maybe even a stray thunderstorm. Temperatures dropping upper 40s and low 50s there. Upper 50s to near 60 in the foothills. Charlotte metro area, it's going to be mild into the low to mid 60s and about the same east of here as well. Check your 7-day forecast once again for today. Temperatures into the mid 80s. Back it up to about 80 tomorrow. A little bit of a cool down on Saturday, 75 degrees, but unlike last Saturday, it's going to be dry, some sunshine, close to 80. We'll say low 80s on Sunday. Then another big warm up next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Some of those temperatures ranging into the mid and even upper 80s. There could be a couple showers, a stray thunderstorm each afternoon. But all in all, it feels like the middle of summer to a lot of people. What do you think, Carolyn?
I think I'm happy about it, but I know that pretty soon we'll all be complaining that it's too hot. You know,
Middle of July,
can't
you're
satisfy
right.
everybody. Starting tomorrow, you can ditch the mask when you're outside here in North Carolina. Governor Cooper making that announcement following new CDC guidelines that came out earlier this week. Mask wearing still strongly recommended in crowded outdoor spaces, but they're not required. The indoor mask mandate, though, is still in place. But not if Governor Henry McMaster has his say, because the South Carolina governor said it's time for cities and counties to drop mask mandates altogether.
We were depending on them to be reasonable in the restrictions that they imposed. I think some of them are being unreasonable, and if they need some help in removing those restrictions, I'll be glad to help them.
Now, he also says schools should no longer require kids to wear masks in class.
This afternoon, officials addressing a major issue when it comes to the COVID vaccine, the gender gap. In North Carolina, listen to this, 55% of people who've gotten at least one dose are women, 43% are men. In South Carolina, 57% of people who've gotten the first dose are women, 42% men. A pretty big gap when you think sexes typically are 50-50. And officials say they're working to figure out why in the meantime. WCNC Charlotte's Billie Jean Shaw reports.
Good afternoon. So health experts are still trying to pinpoint the reason behind the gender gap, but one thing's for sure, it's a consistent trend in both North and South Carolina. In North Carolina, women have received 10% more vaccines than men. We're seeing a similar pattern emerge in South Carolina. In the Palmetto State, 1.7 million people have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. More than half of those vaccinations, 965,000, went to women. Dr. Brandon Traxler, the state's public health director, says there's a reason for all of this. Many of the jobs that made people eligible for the vaccine earlier, like healthcare workers and long-term care staff, were made up mostly of women. She also says women are typically more responsible with their healthcare routine.
In general, women have a greater tendency than men to follow up on routine health care. That includes things like getting their flu shots and other vaccinations like COVID-19.
From the president on down to the governors here in the Carolinas, they are all encouraging you to get vaccinated, whether you are a man or a woman. And speaking of vaccinations, we are starting to see more and more appointments become available here in the Carolinas, including same-day walk-in appointments. We have all that information in our WCNC app, or you can head to WCNC.com. Reporting in Charlotte, I'm Billie Jean Shaw, WCNC Charlotte.
StarMed opening a permanent COVID vaccine clinic in East Charlotte. It's going to be at their Central Avenue location. The clinic will offer all 3 COVID vaccines and will be open 7 days a week with walk-ins. Welcome. Back here close to home right now, the family of Hester Ford holding a public viewing for it. It's until 7 o'clock tonight. It's at the Wayne Russell funeral service. Take a look at this. Overnight, the Queen City lighting up in her honor in purple. She was the oldest living American, passing away at 116 years old earlier this month. A teenager dead after shooting at a Fort Mill hotel. It happened yesterday afternoon at the Sleep Inn on Lamont Boulevard. That's right across the street from Carowinds. Police say 18-year-old Joshua Richardson Ross from Charlotte is the victim. Suspects have been arrested. It's officially the 100th day of President Biden's term in office, and he marked the occasion with his first speech last night to a joint session of Congress. The president touched on nearly a dozen topics ranging from police reform to infrastructure. Overall, he struck a pretty positive tone, promising to keep pushing forward.
After just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott was the GOP's choice to respond to that speech. Both lawmakers making some pretty big claims, and our verified team was watching. Here's Gabe Cohen with a fact check.
We're fact-checking President Joe Biden's address and Senator Tim Scott's response.
Our fact-checkers combed through the president's address and used vetted sources to check out some of those claims, like this one.
Senior deaths from COVID-19 are down 80% since January.
This claim is true. We analyzed CDC data of weekly COVID deaths, comparing the numbers from Biden's first full week in office with the most recent complete data sample on April 3rd. We found the death toll for people 65 and older is down almost 87%.
While this was all going on, the economy created more than 1,300,000 600,000 new jobs in 100 days. More jobs in the first 100 days than any president on record.
This claim is true. We dug through monthly employment reports from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and found that in Biden's first 100 days, the economy created nearly 1.3 million jobs, just as he claimed. As for how it compares to other presidents, well, the data only dates back to 1994, but it shows that far more jobs were created under Biden than the first 100 days of Presidents Trump, Obama, and George W. Bush. It's important to note that the U.S. lost more than 9 million jobs in 2020 after COVID hit. We also dug through Senator Tim Scott's rebuttal.
Just before COVID, we had the most inclusive economy in my lifetime, the lowest unemployment rates ever recorded for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians, and a 70-year low nearly for women.
This claim is true. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows for African Americans, the 24 months of lowest unemployment were between 2018 and 2020, right before COVID. For Hispanic Americans, the 10 lowest were in that same time frame, as were 4 of the 5 lowest for Asian Americans. And women saw 2 of their lowest unemployment months, topped only by months in 1952 and 1953. So that lines up with Senator Scott's claim. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Of course, there are a lot of other claims made. We just don't have time to get into all of them right here. But there is more on our website, WCNC.com. You can check it out there. If there's something you'd like us to verify, shoot us an email or reach out to us on social media. Let us know.
The weather, it's all real. It's all warm. We're going to be in the mid to upper 80s today, near 80 tomorrow, and we'll cool down about 75 on Saturday. Sunday's looking okay as well.
And that's no gossip.
That's all the facts.
That's all the facts. We'll see you back here 4:30 tomorrow morning for Wake Up Charlotte.